Hello there, book friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Megan, and today I'm doing a strike back videoathon, but I'm not following the prompts because I didn't feel like it, and I just wanted to talk about all the books that I read in January. So this is my January wrap-up, and I know it's coming out a little bit late. I apologize for that, but if you saw my previous videos, you know that I was really sick and unable to film, but now I am better, so I am going to be talking about all the books that I read. And in total, I read 7 books, which is actually pretty good for me, and I'm pretty happy with that fact. But let's get off into the first book that I finished this month, and that is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, I have talked about this book before in this book series. I loved this book so much. 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. Brandon Sanderson did it again and continued on with our main characters, and if you don't know, this is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy, so I can't really talk about it too much without giving away spoilers, and I obviously don't want to spoil anybody, but this is a high fantasy adult series, and the magic system is kind of complicated to explain, but it is really cool and interesting and definitely different than anything that I have ever read. So I would highly recommend it if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But in this book, I felt the pacing was great. It did get a little bit political at times, but honestly, I find that stuff kind of interesting and it doesn't bore me at all. I know a few people found that fact a little bit boring, but I actually really like delving into the political sides of books and worlds and what's going on, and it was really interesting for me. And this series is definitely more of a plot-driven series. It still has amazing characters though, and amazing character arcs and growth that they go through. From the first book to the second book, things have changed drastically, and in this book we have Eliend, one of the main characters, and he goes through an enormous change, and it is great to see. I love him so much, and all of the other characters. There's just so many great things that happen in this book. So much to talk about, but I can't really get into a lot of it because a lot of it is spoiler material, and like I said, I don't want to spoil any of you. So the next book I read was Renegades by Marissa Meyer, and well, as you can see, taps. All the taps. This is her new superhero duology, which features villains and heroes and does delve into the issue of like, what is a villain? Who is a villain? Like, are the heroes really heroes? Are they doing what's best for society? Do they really know what's best for society? Are the villains really bad guys? That kind of thing. So I enjoyed that aspect. We have our main character Nova, who has a grudge against the Renegades, who are the heroes of this world. She is with the anarchists, the villains of the world, and she wants to destroy the Renegades. So we follow her and a boy, Adrian, who is himself a renegade, and he is your like stereotypical hero who wants to do the right thing, and he's got his troubled past, he's got his tragic backstory. There are a lot of tragic backstories, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because I found it to be a bit cliche at times, and there are so many superhero movies and superhero stories out there nowadays that it's kind of hard to come up with something really original based around superheroes. But besides that, I did love the superpowers that the heroes and the villains had in this story, but it did feel kind of X-Men-y, so if you're a fan of the X-Men movies, you'll probably like this. I definitely would recommend checking it out. It's not at the standard that I was expecting from Marissa Meyer. I kind of had higher hopes for this book since I am obsessed with the Lunar Chronicles. I love it so much. This was just not on the same level as the Lunar Chronicles. It did not have the same appeal for me. The characters were interesting enough, although I was annoyed at them a few times. And there was some good diversity in this book as well, so it gets points for that. So it was definitely a fun read. I just did have a few issues with it, so I had to give it 4 stars because of those issues. But I am going to read the second book and see where it goes, because the ending of this book made it all better for me. The ending of this book is what made me give it 4 stars instead of 3, because holy crap, I did not see the ending coming. The very end, did not see it coming. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's all about this book. Next book that I read was The Nowhere Girls by Amy Reed. I have also talked about this before, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail again, but as you can see, it's tabbed because there were lots of good parts in this book, and I just wanted to put a tab there because I was like, I need to go back and look at these. So this is one I actually want to do a full review on, so I'm just going to give you a brief summary. We have 3 main girls who all are very different and diverse, and they start this club called the Nowhere Girls that deals with rape culture in their school and their society. I definitely suggest this to people to read because the diversity is great. We have a queer girl, a overweight girl, and a autistic girl, which I love to see because I worked with autistic kids before, so seeing that kind of things in books and from a female's point of view just makes me so happy. This book just, it hit so many great points with me, so I gave it 5 stars. Yeah, this one was just another great read of the month, and I finished this one in a day because I could not put it down. I didn't care about anything else. I was just like, I'm gonna read this. Try and stop me from finishing this book. Just try it. Next ones that I finished I do not have. I took them off the library, so I had to return them. And that was for the biannual bibliothon, which I participated in for a bit, but I got really sick halfway through. And then nothing. I did not participate. I did not pay attention to anything that was happening. So the book that I read was Otherworld by Jason Segel, and this one is a virtual reality book where you get I'm trying to remember the synopsis actually. I read this one pretty fast too. But you have our main character who I can't even remember his name. That's how bad I am right now. But I found him to be a little bit annoying at first, and I wasn't sure if I liked his character. He did grow on me a bit during the book, and I didn't hate him at the end, but I wasn't the biggest fan of him. So I'd give this book a 3.5 to 4 stars. It wasn't amazing, but it was fun. I did like some of the other characters. One of the characters that I really wanted to get to know was the girl that our male protagonist was interested in, but we really didn't get to see her that much, so I was kind of annoyed about that. But then that was part of the plot, so I couldn't be too annoyed. But overall, I did enjoy the book. If you're interested in that kind of thing, you'd probably enjoy it as well. I probably will be continuing with the series, but I don't know when the next book will come out, so it'll just take me a while. And then the other book that I read for the biannual bibliothon is Unbound by Victoria Schwab. And if you don't know, I read the archived in the summer and I loved it. I thought it was great. I really liked the concept of it, and the concept is that I can't remember the characters' names because I don't have the book and I'm too lazy to look it up right now. Our main character, she goes into this sort of other world. She enters in through doors, and she has this key to the archive, and what she does is I don't even know how to describe it, but it deals with death, and she has to go and control souls who get out of where they are supposed to be. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm terrible at describing books, especially ones by Victoria Schwab, because she just has such interesting books and interesting concepts. So I will just say that I love the characters. They were really interesting. I loved our main characters, and in The Unbound, I love to see where we went. Now this is supposed to be a trilogy, so I really want the 3rd book, but it's not out yet, and I don't know when it's going to be coming out, and I don't know when Victoria Schwab is planning on getting this out, because I know she's in the middle of a bunch of other series. Anyway, it was a fun read, and I think I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars, just because it wasn't, like, amazing. I think I'd give The Archive 4 out of 5 stars, and Unbound both 4 stars. They weren't fan-freaking-tastic. They were really, really good though, just not quite at my kind of level where I like to place 5-star books. But the other books that I read, I have with me, although I didn't actually read them, I listened to them on audiobook, because when I'm really sick, I like to listen to books. I don't really read. I binge watch random shows that I've seen a million times on Netflix. But I tend to listen to audiobooks a bit more because I keep falling asleep during the day, and audiobooks are just really nice because I can close my eyes and lie there and just enjoy the book while I can't really do anything else. The books that I listened to is actually an older series, Eragon by Christopher Paolini. This is a book that I read when I was about 10 years old, so it's a young adult fantasy series that I absolutely love, and every time I go to reread it or listen to it, it's almost like going back in time to when I was a child, and I remember the feelings I had when I first read it, and I feel as if I'm a kid again, and it's really relaxing and nice to reread something or to listen to it because I know what's gonna happen, and it's comforting. This is a comfort series for me, even though there is death and monsters and fighting and things that happen that make me sad. It still makes me happy at the same time because I get transported to another world that I love. The main plot of this book is we have Eragon, who is a young man about 15, and he finds a dragon egg in the forest, and the dragon egg hatches for him, and then that is the start of his adventures. And he then just goes on a journey throughout the land of Allegasia, and there is a evil tyrant named Galbatorix who wants to control any dragon riders that there are left, and he destroyed most of the previous dragon riders, so Eragon has to escape from the evil tyrant and make sure that he and his dragon, whose name is Saphira, are safe. And I loved a lot of things about this book. I loved the plot. It is mostly plot and more plot and more plot, but we do get some down moments where we get to learn about the world, and the magic system is done in a interesting way. It's explained in more of a scientific way. One of the things I love about this series and this book is the relationship between Eragon and his dragon Saphira. Their bond is just well developed, and it keeps getting better and better as they go along, and I love seeing their relationship towards each other change and grow and become stronger throughout this book and the other books as well, and I love seeing things like that. I don't want to spoil too much, obviously. I just really enjoyed being able to listen to this book, and if you are wondering, yes, there is a movie, and yes, it is terrible. Please don't compare this book to the movie, ever. That's all I'm going to say on that subject. The next book that I listened to while I was sick was Eldest, which is the second book in the Inheritance cycle. And yes, my copy is battered and bruised. And yes, it is taped together because I got this one when I was 11 or 12, and I have had it for over 10 years now. I have read this copy about 4 or 5 times. My mother and my brother and my sister have read this copy as well, and I loaned it out to another friend of mine. I honestly didn't mind it getting a little bit beaten up because I feel like that just shows that it's a well-loved book. This book is the second one, so I can't discuss the plot because I don't want to give you any spoilers, but again, it is very much plot, but we also get to see things from a second point of view in this book. Warren, who I didn't mention before, but he is Eragon's cousin who gets left behind when Eragon leaves to escape the Empire and to go on his adventure, and Warren gets left behind, and it shows what's happening with him, and that's actually really interesting, not boring at all. And this book is actually, I liked it more than Eragon. I absolutely loved getting to listen to this book again as well because it just was great to listen to something when I was sick, and it just brought me back again. This book brought me back to when I was a kid and made me feel young again. I just loved it so much. But that is the last book. I know that this video was kind of long, so if you're still here, thank you for sticking to the end of this video. Since I am technically trying to participate in the Strike Back Videoathon, I'm going to be shouting out a small creator like me, and this woman's videos, I have been binge watching her Strike Backathon videos, and that is Deja from Diaryofareader, I really like her channel. She's got like this great spunk and I just love her personality. And she's got this great sarcasm, and the first video of hers I watched had me rolling around laughing. So I would definitely recommend checking her out. I'll link her all the links down below. And thank you for watching this rather long video that was rather longer than I intended it to be. Sorry about that, but thank you for sticking through to the end. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you want more bookish content from me, and that is all. Thank you so much for watching, lovelies, and bye!